Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
Hey there, live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show is on the air. Good to have you along today. Sully here, Costa there, and the day trader, Quattro. Let me hear you sing.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
Masters of Death, the Claw.
Wow. Jeez. Can you get a hold of him? James East is the boss. He's our music director. He's my right-hand man.
Boy, genie's out of the bottle with Trace, man.
I need to get-
I'm telling you.
Well, it's.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is,
What
isn't
are you
it?
drinking?
I know we've gone from from organic juices to yerba mate to Celsius. Which
Sure.
Has anybody tried Celsius? Have you had a Celsius yet?
No.
I actually don't do this anymore, but I was doing this. I go get a coffee
Confession.
on the way to go. I go box every morning.
Right?
So I get coffee on the way to boxing. Box, get your heart rate going, and then I'm thirsty, so I'm gonna have myself a Celsius.
No.
And then I come in here and do a show. James said, hey man, James pulls me aside, I gotta talk to you. You're shaking like Don Knotts.
Wow.
No, but I didn't. You realize until you guys mentioned it like 3 months later,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Right.
So, hey, they should try this stuff called Red Bull. I give it to my kids. Like I had no idea.
No
Yeah.
enamel left on your teeth.
Oh my gosh. But they have this. I went to Mexico so much as a kid with my dad. I mean, I'd learned to drive in Mexico. I learned to surf in Mexico. Learned import-export business, if you know what I mean, in the 80s in Mexico. But they always had this thing about Mexico is they had two things that I really loved. Fanta,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yes.
Grape and
Absolutely.
orange soda.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they had, I forget the name of it, but it was an apple-flavored soda.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so good. And Celsius has an apple flavor.
Oh, good night.
So I'm just like, So we've learned the lesson.
We have Chloe to thank for that.
Yes, I know. Exactly. The long story short here is it's a bad thing when you say, hey, I'm going back to yerba mate.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, James discovered somewhere in one of his Woodstock tours or something like that. But they've bottled it. Oh, my gosh. Hey, great to have you along today. Marty Lehr is with us today. Had a chance to really dig into this company mainly because of all of the women in my family. But this is basically medicines for female cancers and other solid tumors and such. But Michael, do you have an introduction for this man?
Well, he's the CEO and co-founder of Context Therapeutics Incorporated, a biopharma company we are big fans of because you just mentioned
Yes.
they're looking for improved treatments.
And what's their stock symbol?
Hormone, it is CNTX.
There you go. Trace, write that down.
CNTX.
Marty Lehr.
Already written down.
Martin Lehr. Martin, how are you, sir? Good to see you, pal.
Fantastic. Good seeing you.
Hey, listen, you guys, I think when I talk about you guys, I was the other day, somebody asked about who was the guy on the air talking about female cancers. I said, you mean hormone-driven female cancers? And I said, it was Context. And I said, these guys have the potential to transform treatment kind of with 2 clinical programs. And I'm correct in saying that, right? I'm describing that accurately?
You are.
Yeah, and because you have I think if I'm not mistaken, you have ONAXR, and then you have CLDN6. Talk about those for a second.
Yeah, they're a mouthful. We have Onapriston extended release, or ONXR, which is our oral progesterone receptor antagonist. That's in a number of what's referred to as phase 2 clinical trials. So mid-stage development. The drug's been in over 150 women to date, and it is doing a great job in many cases of keeping the cancer in check and doing so with very minimal side effects. So women are able to go about their daily lives. We also have an up-and-coming program targeting a really exciting emerging oncology target called Claudin-6. That drug's called CTIM-76. It's still in preclinical development. and it's about a year-ish away from human trials, but it's a drug we have really high hopes for.
Let's go back, Marty, to the ONA-XR, because last quarter you did a phase 1b/2 clinical trial to evaluate, or that was the intention. Talk about where we are in that FDA sort of arc of the story one more time, because it gets more exciting as we start watching this thing every month.
Yeah, that's a trial we refer to as the Alona trial. Every clinical trial has kind of a fancy moniker associated with it. Alona is, as you noted, a phase 1b/2 trial. So it's both an early stage and a mid-stage trial combined, kind of the best of both worlds. We're doing the trial in partnership with a large multinational pharmaceutical company called Menarini. They have a really promising estrogen blocker called elacestrant. And so the goal of our two companies is to evaluate the potential synergy between Menarini's drug elacestrant and our progesterone blocker, ONA-XR. And so that's a partnership we announced in August, worked very quickly to get the clinical trial up and running, did so recently, and we announced at the start of this year that we have patients now on drug, and enrollment's going really well. So that trial will ultimately enroll about 75 patients, but the first half or so of those patients should be completed this year, and we should have preliminary data in the fourth quarter.
Marty Lehr is his name. He's the CEO and co-founder at Context Therapeutics. They are publicly traded under the stock symbol CNTX, and you can go to contexttherapeutics.com. Talk to us about the addressable market. We talked about this the very first time we had you on there, Marty, and I think this is important because this is not a small population we're talking about. I mean, what you're talking about is actually changing the world here, specifically with this type of cancer. Talk about that a bit.
Yeah, it's in cancer, you always feel a little uncomfortable talking about addressable market because that means you're not doing a really great job of treating the cancer. That means there's a lot of patients who are on drug out there. So to put that in perspective, if you combine the United States, Western Europe, and Japan, which are the most mature global pharmaceutical markets, you have, for metastatic patients alone with breast, ovarian, and endometrial, over 350,000 patients. That's a tremendous number. If you look at it just in the United States from an absolute market size standpoint, what the current run rate is for breast cancer is about 20 billion, ovarian is about 5 billion, and endometrial is right around 3 billion. And endometrial is particularly sad because it's one of the few cancers where the incidence, meaning that the number of patients diagnosed per year, is growing. Oh. And so that market's actually expected to grow to about 5 billion by the end of the decade.
If you think in terms of your drugs, okay, and where they fit in the spectrum of these cancers that you just talked about, is there a chance, because we've heard this a lot after years of interviewing biotech companies, sometimes when you create a drug, you find out that it treats another sort of malady along the way. Is there a chance that you can touch some of these other cancers that you describe, or maybe some of the ones you haven't described? Is that, obviously that's always the hope, but any indications that you can speak of at this point?
Yeah, I think our Claudin-6 program is a great example. We're focused on female oncology. Claudin-6 is very prevalent in ovarian and endometrial cancer, which combined result in about 26,000 to 27,000 deaths per year in the U.S. So a large unmet need. Again, ovarian and endometrial are the number 3 and 4 causes of cancer death in the United States. But the drug actually and the target is expressed much more broadly than just female cancers. It is found in almost every single testicular cancer patient, in many lung cancer patients, in many gastric, stomach, bladder, many cancers. And so we have high hopes for it, not just for female cancers, but a broad pool of potential patients.
Yeah, and I think that's the good news here, right? I mean, those indications sort of indicate that you're going to get across the goal line when we head to phase 3 and then and then to market. Last of all, I got about 45 seconds left. I want to ask you this one more time. Is the idea, when you get to that 5-yard line, to take it to market yourself, those handsome people with the little suitcases that they walk into the doctor's offices, or do you go to a bigger company and let the big guys take it to market in kind of a risk aversion model? Any thoughts about that?
I think every entrepreneur in their dreams aspires to build a huge company.
Yeah.
The next Pfizer. But I think we're quite happy partnering with a Pfizer, a company that already has an established clinical development organization, that has a sales organization.
Sure.
That's well versed in something that we are not necessarily well versed as a company right now.
Sure.
So I think if you look at women's oncology, almost every major pharmaceutical company has a presence in the space.
Yeah.
And so partnering with one of those would be an ideal match.
Well, you got yourself a great company there, Marty, and we'd love to watch it.
So awesome.
We'd love to watch you build it. We got to get you to San Diego, man. It's not a big ask. It's 70
Soon
degrees and perfect here, buddy. Come on. Martin Lehr, CEO, founder, Context. CNTX is their stock symbol. Go to contexttherapeutics.com. More Big Biz coming up.